So let's start by just kind of toning down the pants, or all the little leather parts. I'm going to use smoke here, which is like a sepia, basically, but not as satin. And I'll use some of this wasteland brown to create a kind of like ink wash, basically. Just to get it dark to where I want. You can see how strong sepia the smoke is, and wasteland brown is also like a sepia. So what we're going to do is any of these leathery parts, just to pick out some of the, basically just to do the lining for us. We're going to do a wash over top of it. We can reintroduce the detail later, but something to note about Adrian's art, which I'm trying to get like the feeling of his art while also doing my own thing. He tends to put a lot more detail into certain elements, right? In terms of like color detail. Things like the skin and the metal get a bit more treatment than the leather does. The leather kind of acts as like a backing to things where it's really not super important. But we can get some of that feeling in the figure also, in our own way, by not overdoing the leather, right? We can leave the leather kind of dark. And create contrast elsewhere. Which I already applied like the color to everything when I started, right? Like I went over the zenithal with the color. But here I just want to make sure I get it in between all these little doodads that are on the parts, right? So like I don't want to overdo this leather backing of whatever you want to call it, loincloth, his butt flap. When I'm going to have to make all these little ropes and metallic things stand out. So hello, Rui. And if you look at the 4 goblins I did, it's a very similar approach. Where it's basically letting these like brown elements, like he doesn't need a ridiculous amount of detail in these like foot wraps, right? The leg wraps or the arm wrap. I will define them, but they're not like an important part per se. Like this the leather loincloth here, we can leave dark so that when I do the little heads, He's got two little heads that are kind of sticking, laid on top from hanging from his belt. By giving them a dark backing and not overdoing it, I can let those kind of come forward. Does that make sense to you guys? Let the interesting parts be the interesting parts. Let the stuff that's not so interesting just sort of fall away. Yeah, it can be a tough balance, Sebastian, to know how much detail is enough detail or how much contrast is enough contrast. It's a three-dimensional sculpture, and the sculpture has detail to it, so it needs to be defined, but we don't have to overdo it. Like, let's think about this guy, right? What really are the defining character traits of this character design? What are the important elements, right? Is this being released alongside the other? Yes, it is. I mean, not like specifically like what exact, like the skin. The skin's very generalized, right? But I would say like this, right? His face, the picking the nose, right? That's very important. And then the other thing that's like pretty important to his character design is, I would say, the little heads and the big pole, right? Or his club. Those are kind of the two important elements. Stay away. No, well, this is based roughly off the illustration, so I'm being faithful to the illustration. Okay, so he's got a big old club. I get some more brown here. And the club is very tan. We need Adrian also painted these with like a lot of I don't know, say it, like browns just in general. There's a ton of brown. So we are also going to paint with a lot of brown, but we have to separate these elements. Right. So I'm going to use the smoke here as like a shadow color. And this club is just going to be generally lighter than all the leather. Because we're using browns, these sort of shared browns throughout, I need to separate this against the leather of the rest of his character design. Right, so this dark background will help this element stand out more if I paint it lighter. Instead of just changing the color of the brown, I can use a overall lighter shade of brown to create contrast between the elements. So I'm just kind of sketching some light onto it. Getting a general sense of how bright I want this element to be. You can immediately see that, like, this now makes the club stand out from the rest of him. All right. Now, because the artwork, I can't see his pants at all, I have to make a decision. I have to decide what I want his pants to look like. I do want to get these little... I'm just going to shade it down first. The other common element, the like color that's seen in this illustration, is red. He uses red as like a splash color. This guy doesn't really have any on him. The only one he has is like a tassel that hangs down from his arm. That's not actually on the sculpture. So I think we can use red as like a splash color on his pants to kind of bring that tone into the piece. Okay. So here I'm just lightening up the leather a little bit. Fixing where I got some on his, some green on it. I'm kind of defining the edge just a touch. Where? Oh, this is it. Okay. So let's just go around. Trying to look at the illustration and find. So he's also got a lot of little fur elements. I want to find another color for those. Another tone of brown. So basically using a lot of browns, but I'm going to gray this one out. So instead of going with this like warm orangish brown, I'm gonna alter the color a little more, make this a little more neutral. I'm still going to use this bit of this like sepia. But you can see like this and this aren't the same. All right, so I introduce a little bit of a different shade this way. This is another element that I don't need to overdo. Like if I push this all the way to white, it's going to look weird. And I'm not trying to do polar bear fur. I'm just trying to do some kind of, I don't know whether it's wool or I don't know the exact kind of animal fur this is supposed to be. Right. Oh, we just create a small distinction between the two. And when I change the light here, it'll, as I move to more neutrals and the midtones, it'll create a distinction between these two. And that's like kind of a general theme that runs throughout this piece, is that you have like all these browns, and then green and red is like these kind of like splash colors. But even the greens are, pretty yellowish. And he's got them up here. So in the artwork, the woods are much more tan. Like tan, yellow, ochre kind of colors. The leather tends to be slightly more orangish brown, and then the fur is like quite gray in tone. I say gray, but like tonally gray. Not pure neutral gray. With all this brown, if you made it pure neutral gray, it would look very blue. Where the steel is like more neutral gray. Makes sense? All right. How's everyone doing, by the way? Okay. One thing I want you to kind of notice here, I will say that, like, I really like this sculpt overall. The only thing, the only part I'm not a big fan of is this fur. I think it's a little too linear. Hey, Dan. So, because of that, I am going to try and work with the direction of my brush strokes a little more. Really? How do I stop this? Dan, what did you do? Look what you brought in here with you. Ban. Ban, 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 ban. Catch a ban. Yeah, I don't know the command for that. Anyways, it wasn't that bad. Thanks for the follow, Dan. All right, so like I was saying, the fur is very like linearly sculpted. So with my brush stroke, I'm going to try and change the direction a little and create a bit more shape to it so that it's not so perfectly flat. All right, so I'm going to grab a tan here. So we can exaggerate a bit more the light so you can kind of see the shape a little better. You can see this tan doesn't affect this gray or this gray brown very much. So instead of just up and down, I'm going to play with the way I layer these brush strokes a little bit in order to give a little more shape and form. All right, so kind of separate it more into tufts. Is this guy getting finished tonight? No, probably not. Not like all the little details and stuff. But we'll get pretty far along on this guy. These goblins don't take a super long time to paint. They don't have lots of little or they don't have any like big areas of NMM and stuff to really like sink time into. So finished, unlikely. Close, probably. This is why I'm not a huge fan of overly textured fur on sculpts. You get a lot of hard edges. And it makes it more difficult to give that soft feeling that you would have with fur. And we want it to feel. The goal is to make it feel soft. Oh, we just continue to go around. Okay. So that kind of gives you the idea there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a glaze. Yeah, he does have one. He's got a little belly hair. I'm going to kind of reduce. I'm going to unify these layers a little bit. It might be a little too yellow. So this is going to reduce some of the overall contrast here. But then we'll layer new texture back on top. Right, this kind of wash settles into the glaze / wash, settles into some of the recesses, fills in some of the more harsh details of the sculpt. And then while that's drying, I can do these other ones real quick. This one doesn't need a whole lot. It's hidden behind this club. I need to like scoot over some. Right, so I separate these, right? And I can use a little line to kind of join them together. It's gonna give this that layered feel that I want. I'm using the sculpt to kind of help me decide where I want to make the tufts, but I'm not like being a not feeling forced to place, like, highlight every little individual hair as it's sculpted. Hi, Joe. How are you? Right, so builds up. Hi, Jonas. Okay. Keep building the texture. So you can see now with the, like, the difference between this and kind of over here, right? With the glaze, it sort of softened everything out a little bit. Okay. And then we'll do the same thing over here. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. What camera? It's a Panasonic DCG95 with a, hold on, this is gonna look weird. Like a, what is that? D? Like a D6 Vario. What? I don't know. I can't see it right now. I have the box behind me. That probably would have been easier to check. I think the lens is more expensive than the camera, which, if you know anything about cameras, that's really not that unusual. All three of these cameras are actually the same G95, but this one is the only one with like a fancy lens on it. The main figure camera, the palette camera and the camera on me aren't that important, you know. You guys aren't here to see my pretty face. As much as I'd like to believe it. All right. So this might be a little too tan, so I'm going to take just a bit of like blue, just a glacier blue, whatever. It's not that important, the exact color. But if I mix them together, it's still very close to white, but this will make it slightly more gray. I'm not trying to make it blue. I just want to alter the color some. Okay. So now we come back and we do the same thing. We do what we did before. Wait, so I'm overlapping, right? I'm not trying to follow the sculpt exactly. Sometimes I paint in the recesses, sometimes I don't. I change the direction. Let some of them curve. Some of them are straight. And I build up these little layered shapes. I'm curious with your travel events, 13-hour days at cons. I said, do you have any help, a publicist or assistant? No. I have no social media manager. I have no assistant. I have people that help with the work when I teach workshops and stuff. The organizers help a lot with that. But no, I have no personal assistant. Hey, you think a miniature painter makes enough money for a personal assistant? Hi, Joe. Thanks, Sebastian. You know, the tonal grays are important. Especially when working with a lot of like natural materials like this. When you're painting a figure that's like 80% brown. Well, he's not, because he's like 50% green, but some of the other goblins that are more armored than him have a lot less green on them and will be like 80% brown. Huh? I'm not sure if you're trolling or a bot. Yeah, Joe's doing something similar to what we're doing right now. Or instead of an Adrian Smith piece of art, he's painting Bloodstone, the Patrick Jones figure. Yeah, it's really important to like analyze and what you see. And what do you see, Joe? Hopefully the very deep saturated red tones in the shadows. There's no class on studying other people's work. That's just you studying other people's work. I mean, as far as I know, no one's, that's just observation. I don't I don't particularly know how you train someone's observational skills. I had Dave ask me that. I mean, I guess I do it a little in my workshop. I think the most important thing is you have to stop, look at it, and go, like, don't try and look at the perceived color. Look at, like, what you're really seeing. Our eyes and our brain has a natural white balance where we look at things and go like, yeah, this is what color it should be, right? But you have to see past that. Contrast speed paints, I mean, they're useful. I don't know if you need them. Yeah, I mean, studying in general, right? Using your critical thinking and your eye. Like these, like the picture I'm painting from, right? It's really easy for me to look at them and be like, yes, this fur is gray. But I have to realize that all of the rest of the scene is very yellowish because of the sepia tones. So it's not really gray in like a true neutral sense of the word gray. It has tone to it. It's more gray than other parts. By the way, if you're interested in seeing how Adrian paints, he has a YouTube channel where he does live painting. I'm not saying leave me right now and go watch his stuff, but even though it's two-dimensional, you know, it can be interesting to see how he uses and mixes colors and layers. He does a lot of watercolor, so it tends to be subtractive. Like he gets, as he layers, things get darker. Eric, how are you? What are your artists that you follow and inspire from at the moment? Right now I'm inspired by Adrian Smith. I tend to look at a lot of two-dimensional artists. Like traditional. I like there are miniature painters that I like, but I try not to take too much from other miniature painters. Find like styles can be very your style can be a little homogenized to doing it that way. So I tend to look at more traditional artists in that case. I've talked about this before, but like Frank Frazetta and Wei Wang are two of my big inspirations. Which is probably also why I've been told I have an illustrative style. I mean, there's a ton of classical painters. Might spelling the second way. Wei Wang. He is he was the painter for Blizzard for a long time. Now I'm not sure what he's doing. I know a lot of miniature painters love Paul Bonner. Norman Rockwell. Alex Ross. I like Alex Ross, who is also heavily influenced by Norman Rockwell. Okay. I'm going to do one more quick little layer. Basically just mixing these two together to kind of form one more lighter tone. I'm just going to do little areas to add some volumetric shape to these guys. This is not, I'm not going to do every tuft. But maybe just some of these upper ones. Right, could give some shape to that. The Killer XD 99. Hello. I don't know who are some of your guys' favorite artists, huh? 2D or otherwise. Jesper, yeah, he's really good. Joan Singer Sargent is amazing. One of the American greats. Greg Beecham. I don't think I'm familiar. Also, I don't know how many hours there are now, but there are I would say at least 100 hours worth of painting on the YouTube channel that you can go and check out if you ever want to go back and watch old streams and painted a few things at this point. Now those are very white. They feel very white right now. I'm not going to make any adjustments to the fur at this stage because of the fact that I still have all these other details that I have to do. But right now it looks very white. We'll see. The reason I don't want to mess with it at all is because I don't know if my perception of this color is going to change as I work on other areas. So just like the fur for the wood grain. I'm gonna paint these lines, kind of roughly following the sculpt here. How many projects have we done on stream at this point? $20 different figures? Basically all of them start to finish? It's probably more than that. How many years? We've only been doing the stream for like 2 years. Not even. $20 figures in 2 years isn't bad. It's only painting on Wednesdays. And most of those, I think, are from the last year. No, we didn't do that many Space Marines. I don't paint that many Space Marines. Maybe on stream, I think like 2 for the old world. Are cities of Sigmar old world? That's new stuff, right? I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm not I'm more of a 40K guy. I don't know. I don't know that much about Warhammer Fantasy. Okay, so this is kind of the idea, right? We create all these nice little lines. Hola, hola, Tito. Okay, so we create all these little lines, and then we can do similar to the way we did with the fur, and just kind of create a nice glaze to sort of unify, so we don't overdo the texture, because we're going to build up more. Yeah, I don't know anything about Old World. Yeah, that's fine, Sebastian. They're publicly available on my Facebook also, so that's fine. Why doesn't your friend just join the Discord, huh? So, okay, so we got that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a light green. I want like a lime greenish tone. All right, so we're going to grab the nature green that we used in the skin. And just get a little bit here. We only need a touch at the moment. We're going to mix a little with the yellow ochre. And this tan, so that as we move up in the light, right, we kind of move past the pure yellow into this kind of greenish yellow. This is going to help reintroduce some of the green from the skin tone elsewhere into the figure. And you can see that, like, on the wood, it doesn't really look green because you've got all this more orangish and yellow ochre tones around. But your eye picks up on it a little bit, you know? It's there. It's just not in your face. Okay, and we're going to focus a little more light towards the front than towards the back. All right. Okay. Something like that. Why did I use green? Because I'm shifting, right? I'm shifting the color from this more orange through the yellows, and then I'm moving into the greens that share a bit of color harmony with the skin. Right? So this gives me an opportunity to reuse some of the color that is in the skin tone. Creating a color harmony between the two. Make sense? I hope. Maybe not. Hi, Tuang. How are you? Okay. Now, nice. Doing a little chromanon action. So here on the bottom of the wood, to give a little more detail to the bottom, I'm going to use some of the same gray brown I used in the cloth, just to create some texture in these like really shadowed areas. Not super heavy, but you know, just enough to give some shape to these things. Yeah, all the way at the other end of the country. It's like a 3-hour drive, dude. Sorry. 4 hours. Whew. It's only like 30 hours to drive across the US or more. I think the record, and this is the Cannonball Run, was like 24 or something. Where they did it in, like, during COVID, driving an average of 100 miles an hour. Okay. Shape? How do you mean? Like, am I saying it? Probably. Referring to things like volume and stuff. One last little glaze. Just to bring these parts together and restore some of that initial color. I think the club is pretty much there. See you, Jonas. See, using some desaturated browns on the bottom lets me define some of this texture. Without interfering with the color on top. Yeah, I'm coming. I'm teaching a workshop Monday and Tuesday afterwards. Yes, I'm going to contrast. I am judging contrast. All right. Kapak. Hello. No, we have not. I don't know if we are on the same. I think Lucas said he was judging too. So I don't know who's going to be on what team. Well, we're all on a team together, but I mean like what categories and stuff we'll be judging. Okay. So, let's do something real quick. Just want to fix the top of his belt here where I painted this black in. There we go. So, you can see how kind of fast these figures can come together. I'm going to take a quick break. And then I will continue on, maybe start, maybe do the pants or the leather or something. I don't think we'll be on the same small 3-man team. Usually it's a bunch of Polish painters and a few foreigners sprinkled in. So I think they'll want us on different teams. But it's small enough, you won't work together as a big group way more. Yeah, I mean, I could be with like Anna or Mihao or other Mihao. All right, I'm back. Hello, hello. So, let's paint my absolute favorite thing to paint on figures. Leather straps. In this case, we're really just trying to get some edge definition on these. So we don't need to overdo it. Normally I don't do my accommodations for Monty until later in the year anyways. Dave did them this year, and yes, he did them early. And they got messed up, so he had to rebook. And I went, heh heh heh. This is why I wait till the last minute. Proving that procrastination is the right way to go. I've never had a problem. Always found a place, an Airbnb. I booked early one year, and then the lady canceled the Airbnb on me like 2 weeks ahead of time. What do you get if you get best in show at Monty? Oh, that's a good question. That's a fantastic question. Let me just, let me just casually show you what you get. You get this big fancy coin thing. it says Monte Sansevino Show, the 15th International Contest of Historical and Fantasy Miniatures. Oh, I've got one of those too, you know? Those golden demons that are falling apart. No, there's no prize pool. There's no, like, monetary prize. Shh, Chewie, don't tell everyone that that's what I did, you know? Gotta keep that on the down low. Is Monty the biggest con? I'd say it's one of. Maybe, like, you could consider World Model Expo a bigger contest, but World Model Expo historically has a pretty heavy weighting towards historical figures. A fantasy figure has won in the history of World Model Expo one time the best of show. So yeah, Fantasy's got a pretty good track record at World Model Expo. I'm trying, but who's to say it's going to be a fantasy figure? Monty is in November. It is typically the second weekend of November, but this year it's the third weekend. All right, so here I'm just once again trying to define some of these edges. In a couple spots I can fill it in a little just to give some more definition. Costas won one year. There is no best of fantasy category at the World Model Expo. There's only one. There's just bronze, silvers, and golds, and then one best of show. Hi, Mom. No, The Yellow Space Marine. Yikes, that was fantastic. Okay. Let's see. Are there any big competitions in the U.S.? Well, you have Golden Demon and you have Nova. I think those are kind of your big two at the moment. There's also, I think I would say those are kind of your two big competitions in the U.S. at the moment. See you, Dan. And Nova is only getting bigger every year. We are now up to, as far as I'm aware, we have more pre-registrations now than we had by August of last year. Last year we had over 600 and something entries, over 650 entries. I think we will break the 800 entries mark. But yeah, except I think it was actually 667. When they recount, they like double checked. What are the chances you paint a 32 millimeter model next on stream? I'm going to go with maybe less than 0. I sometimes like to take a break from a big stream project with a 32 millimeter model. And this is the biggest stream project yet. Three figures. Well, you can always check out the YouTube channel. I've painted quite a few, and they are all up there for you to watch at your own pace. So, basically that's the idea with the leather, right? We don't need to overdo anything. We don't need to over fancy anything. We just create some definition. Maybe add one more little highlight. Right, let the leather stay kind of in the background, right? But it's got shape now. I hit you with a stick? Did I? Like a literal stick? Is this a metaphor, or did I actually hit you with a stick? I was like, I don't remember. I'm a harsh teacher. The last ever OSL class. At least for now. For some time. One of my students can teach it. Hello. Man, Grey Knights are so cool. Where's my Grey Knight kill team? GW. Azathoth, are you my roommate? What's happening right now? Yes. When he saw the new Gene Stealer kill team, he was like, this is not good enough. Where's my proper NIDS? Give me my Tyranids. Yeah, those aren't they just, what's it called, models anyways? I mean, they're basically just Imperial Guard models, right? Yeah, you're all part of the hive mind. I don't blame you. A proper Tyranid kill team would be cool. Like with Von Ryan Leapers or something. All right, so like I said, I don't want to overdo the leather on the back here, because you could see just how much other detail is built on top of this. And if I overdo the leather, it'll just become a noisy mess. So I'm going to leave the leather just kind of dark overall in order to let this other detail stand out. Right, all these ropes and things that are on here. I'll do a little more lining and edge highlights and stuff, but nothing too much. I think lictors would be a little too big, but you know, I'm not sure. Aren't the new lictor models kind of huge? The old lictor models, sure. But I think the new ones are kind of gigantic. I haven't seen one in person though, so I'm not positive. Same deal over here. I'm going to give a little shape to this. Right, so the top of the shoulder is going to get some light on it. But I don't want to push it too much. I'm just going to let it stay pretty dark overall. I will create some little bit of texture in here. Weather the edge. See you, Joy. You can see this one's got all this little stitching and stuff that I'm going to have to define. This can be like really easy to overdo, where I just apply way too many lights and then it kind of loses its shape, and you'd lose these little bits of definition in here once we paint those. So, you know, just let dark materials be dark materials. I still have to do the ones around his feet, but So here I can push the light a little more just to give some edge. These edge definition. You can see I'm also not trying to like paint a perfectly smooth edge. I'm okay if, you know, I get little scratches and nicks in the edge. So I'm kind of like, I'm painting the edge, but I'm kind of like slightly skipping as I paint the edge. That will create some natural weathering along the border of the leather, right? You guys know all about this. I'm not telling you anything new. Occasionally I put one of those little brush strokes on there just to create a nice crack. Yeah, Sebastian? I bet that guy knew what he was talking about. I don't think Chimera would trust him to make a video otherwise. Okay, just step up the light one more time. I was about to say, like, do you know something I don't? And then I was like, oh, yeah, I did do 2 for them. forget my own work, dude. I forgot I made an Asteria video. I think this needs a little more. Do you guys have a favorite video series? What's your all-time favorite? It doesn't have to be one of mine. It's fine if it is one of yours. Do you have an all-time favorite miniature painting tutorial video? I'm curious to know what you like about it and what you don't. Did I say I was making a video for the upcoming Kickstarter? The one for the paints? I don't remember saying that. Maybe I did. I don't know. Okay, so let's carefully just dot and glaze some of this leather up here. We just want to add a little bit just to give some shape to the shoulder. Just a touch. The old painting Buddha ones are pretty good. I have to say. Oh, I need to fix these. I did not see Mark's Lumberjack video. I did watch the fighter, his MMA fighter video though, and it was pretty nice. I find it interesting because I kind of asked people on the Zerug, the red or the orc with the dragon egg tutorial video, like which one, what format people prefer, if they prefer the like long form full content, or if they prefer the more focused short form. I'll tell you the one you're not going to get from me. You're not going to see any infotainment videos out of me. All right. The John Ninus style of, or Ninjon, I should say, style of videos of like, here's a painting tutorial, but also, you know, it's funny and whatever. Like 15-minute long. That's not my thing. Hey, I like Ninjon's videos too. That's just not my style. I did see that one. The Lan Abel video. It's pretty good. I would have liked to see him go a little further on the NMM. Like really how he finishes it, because I know that was like probably like half of how far he really takes it. But I get that it can be like kind of hard to see the true like refinement stage of his like ultra detailed steps. It's like, watch me do the same thing I already did, but with 90% water so you can barely see the changes. Okay. All right. Happy with the leather shoulders. Am I? No, I'm not. Haha. Tricked. Just going to put a few little dots and stuff. All right. Yeah, do like the sketching stage kind of on a big area so you can see how he places the light and everything, and then really like refine one small area. I think would have been interesting. I will say that's a pretty tough thing to get across on camera, is like just how watery the paint is. Like, not really something you kind of have to get a feel for yourself. Like right now I'm painting in pretty thick, pretty thick paint, like almost straight out of the bottle. Okay. It doesn't take that much to do these kind of parts. Right. Okay, again, we're just giving shape. Just giving shape to this. Yeah. Hi, Weebles. Like the Weebles that, as old toys. They like always righted themselves. Or those Weeble Wobbles. Yeah. Those are the ones. Man, we're old. All right, let's do some painting on his leg. Let's see how their red is. I haven't really tested their red. You don't need very much. Okay, just lightly creating a kind of reddish tone here. Give him, I don't know what kind of pants you call this. I'm sure there's a name for these, but these, like, I just want to call them pirate pants. His pantaloons. They might be. They might just be trousers. Yeah. Where's all the historical dudes at to tell me what kind of pants these are? Oh, those are breeches. They're breeches. Or a theater costume person would probably know. Where's all my drama nerds at? Up and coming mini? Oh my god, there's always more minis coming out. I can't answer that question because I don't know what's public information or not. That's a... this is part of a bigger thing. There's 3 of them. There's 3 figures. This one's missing a head. Here's his head. And they stand in this order. He goes like this, and he goes like this. And this one stands in the front. Yeah, Topulus is the guy to ask. It is based on a illustration by Adrian Smith. In the original artwork, you can't see his pants, though. So I'm just kind of making it up. But red is like an accent color used throughout the piece, so. How do you stop? Stop yourself from buying all the gobos. You don't. You buy all the gobos. The gobos are good. Not the most powerful red on this guy, I will say. Which is fine. I'm not going for like a super strong red here. This is more just like a, just to create something else going on. Throw in another little color, but not the strongest coverage on this red. All right. What do we want to do? The other half of his pants. I feel like you have to do them like a white, right? We almost have to do them as like the same kind of tone that the... Ooh, go away. What is with it tonight? Yeah, I think to get that striped effect to stand out, we've got to paint them some kind of lighter color, which may require us to change the fur, but we'll see. Yeah, that's me. They got me pegged, Sebastian. I'm streaming the wrong thing on Twitch if that's what I'm going for. Should just be doing React content. Why go to all the effort of doing your own thing when you could just watch someone else's stuff? gotta fix. Got a little white in the seam in between, but that's okay. You know, I don't mind that it's kind of close to the fur. I think it works all right. Because they're kind of separated already. It's not too bad. Okay. Pants. Now, need to push the red just a little bit more. I've given some shape. Some definition. Got his candy cane trousers on. I think it works. I think it works all right. Right, so now that we've gone over a bit of the red with this slightly more pinkish red, now we can just kind of come back and intensify the red a little bit. All right. I'm happy with that. It's a small detail anyways. And probably one you won't see in the box art, because if it's anything like the actual art, it'll be covered by the dude's axe. So I'm just going to go with Anton. Hi. Thanks for following. So after this, I've got to paint the feet and like the hands. And then there's a bunch of boring stuff of blacking out all the little like non-metallic parts on the back of here and stuff. So we'll probably call it after I finish this little bit of leather. And I will do that off camera because it is tedious and really slow. Probably one of the slowest things to do is to just like outline this belt buckle. Just paint around this belt, just base coat this, all these little things black. Honestly, these are so dark they might not even need to be outlined. They're basically black already. I could probably paint directly over top of them. But instead of getting into the NMM tonight, we will probably save it for next week. How do I feel about the fur at this stage? I feel a little better about it. I think maybe it could still be maybe slightly darker. I am going to increase the light on the pants just a touch. Just a hair. Okay. And then a little bit more light on this leather. I don't know what kind of heads these are. Shrunken heads. They have what looks like elf ears. Maybe they're like gnomes. He does do a lot of gnomes. I think that's also a touch by the, yeah. Yeah, that's a addition by the sculptor. Okay. So, here's where we made it. Yeah, I don't even think the original has these little medallions on his chest. So I'll have to decide what color I want to do those. There's a few things. Oh, I missed this whole part of his leather belt. Before I forget. Gotta get at the end of the belt. You guys ever done that? Been painting a model and just like be blind to a little bauble or something and just leave it black, just unpainted? I have and trust me, many other box artists have too. Well, I've scraped some mold lines before, just like while they're on the model. Just, went to paint it and just been like, whoops, and just had to slice into the model to get rid of it. Hello. All right, so I think that's where we'll stop for tonight. Like I said, I've got to go in and I've got to black out these little studs. I've got to finish this leather. I got to black out like this whole dagger. He's got another dagger over here. I think there's maybe some leather. I'm a little confused what's even going on here. Can't tell if that's 2 knives or 1 knife. Or there's fur under there. What's quite heavy. It's not super important, but yeah, I gotta do the leather straps around there. We're gonna black out this necklace thing. Finish blacking out his hair. Paint this fur, paint that fur. Painting all those, black out all those. So but this guy is he's close, and I'll probably do the feet and hands separate. Oh, he's got an earring. Yeah, I probably will darken the fur a little bit, but I will decide that after I've done all these other elements, right? Because the bright metallics might make me feel different about the fur. Like once I do some shiny parts. Right now, the only thing I have to really compare it to is the leather, his skin, and the club. So, and the metallic elements will be pretty shiny. So, how we make the contrast, and it's less about contrast between each little individual thing and more about contrast overall. Okay.